Okay, in this first tutorial about the Plexus FX tools, we can see how to work the tab of my basic. We can start here, we have this example, and inside you can find, I create more room for that. I don't use the build interface. However, here we can find some example. You can see here we have in this file small example, and here we can start with the first. With the first we have the basic torus, and here the platonic. I convert the platonic, and here and here. Here we have the FX. Here we can see the line, and we have the teapot around is copy with the different direction. Here in the base we can grab and put this node, and here the copy geometry is here. Here we have the scatter points with I decrease the number of my scatter points, and here I play with this value here for create more random effects. And for example, if I put 0, my direction is similar to all. If I put 1, is more difference, and here if I put for example 1, I have another direction. If I put 0, I have another direction, and etc, etc. Here the scale of my object, the minimum scale and the maximum scale. Here we can play with that. Here we can change the color, or we can use the randomize color. Here we have the extra points. We can use the packet geometry, and we can also apply the material here. Here the global, I can use the packet geometry. I can use also the cache from disk. The cache from disk, you can save the cache here, for example no splitted, and it's recall these effects here. Usually it's working only with this part with no splitted, and is here. Here the line you can use the line here, the radius for change my radius for have more lines or not more lines. You can choose that, how is one, for example, that. Points, you can, the distance is like threshold, you can use the default, etc. Here the noise is very nice. You can have the noise effects here. You can see have these effects for noise, and in this case it's more curved noise because I have here the effects of the curve. You can have the strains, you can have the interpolation curve, or you can put for example 0, or you can put 10 for refresh that. Usually the curve, subdivide curve, it's very nice. On noise, it's more important, for example, the direction. Here, the influence by direction is 1. It's multiply the frequency for this value. If I put, for example, 2, I see I have more influence. If I put, for example, -1, I have another direction here. And 0, I don't have any influence for axis now. Okay? Only the random from this value, but for that you can play with this value without problem here. And here you can change the radius. By default is 0.01, but I think maybe you need to assign a little small, depends more about your scale of your geometry you can have here. In this example I have my base geometry is that, I can call that, for example, is better. And here we have the sphere and the pig head. Pig head is my first geometry here. Here is not enough difference from before. It's only the number of points. I prefer have not more points because I prefer don't use more cows for now for this little geometry and I have here. Here the extra points shape is enabled with the use more geometry, and I have here the path of my geometry is my sphere is that. If I put, for example, here another geometry, I should change this number because if I have, for example, 0, I don't have any effects of my sphere. If I plus, for example, 1, I have also my sphere. If I create, for example, another geometry, or I can take, for example, the torus from here and put here, and if I choose, I see also I have the torus here. Also in this case, I have also the randomized color is active, so I can see the randomized color is created exactly randomly. This is the example I can have here. And here I have another example with user color mask here. The color mask, here I have my torus, and my torus, so I paint with the paint, I apply the difference area where is color with red color and is my output. More important, if I use these techniques, I need from the base geometry here use that input. I can't, for example, if I put this input here, maybe my torus here, I have the error from my tools. Why? Because it's not understand here, the point is not apply the same effects here, so it's need to apply that here. This is work also with the attribute map, so I can check here the use color, and here I need to put my nodes here for take my attribute color, and here I need to check also the density attribute and I assign the color. By default is not apply, but if I apply, I see that, and I see my point is growing where is the paint effects it's applied here. It's very nice in some case that. And also the lines, also yes, I have more, the segment is not more big in this case here. Here we have the loads point. Loads points is very nice because I have here my torus again with more segments again, and here my points, you can see the points in the space with created with the scatter, but you can use also the pop net if you want, and maybe it's very nice in some case. In this case is not essentially, is not important to load the base geometry. So I don't create the base geometry, I don't create the scatter. Here the loads points, I have the use import points, and I choose this node. In this case, is take the points created by the scatter and is use that for create my effects here. The last example for this tutorial, here I have my torus, here I have my sphere, I convert the sphere and I transform the sphere here, respect my torus here. I have also the transform applied, this is more important now, and now I see why. Here I have the base geometry is my torus, okay, so we can come back here, okay. Torus is my base geometry, and also I have the geometry is here for the copy is that. And here is by geometry, it's point distribution by geometry, I use by geometry, and here I call that nodes here. I can move that here. And here I can see, I can use the threshold, for example, by default it's 1, is take all, and the radius by default is 0. But I can use the blend, for example, 41, 28, for use more or not, because that here I have my torus and here my my sphere. If I move the sphere, if I have here essentially the radius, it's create the radius with the distance, and here is create the geometry here, for example, where is touched the color, okay, with my element here. This is more important now, because here I can use the move, can come back here, I can use the move, and I can switch with that, and I can see if I move it, I change the influence where is create my sphere, my points, etc. I see the little bugs now. It's my element is vibration I report that also in the documentation. I hope to fix this problem in the next time, but however, maybe this is very nice for create some effects of growing or with another element, with another animation element. It's nice to see.